Coslings, how you all doing? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Leanne and this is Lecosanne, my big happy adventure. Today's video is a little bit different because I am all I do over here at the moment seems to be unboxing videos. And I don't do that on purpose, it's just the way that the months fall. But I had an idea and I think it's going to work the best way to do this. I am actually getting very close to the end of my current journal. This is the current journal. You'll see it all in all of its glory when I have finished it. But we are only currently in April at the time of you watching this video, and I am about to start up a new journal, and I thought that I would do the setup of this new journal and talk about my principles around setting up a journal and how I journal and how it might work for you whilst setting up my new journal, because there's no point doing it retrospectively. If you don't see my live streams and it's not for you, that's absolutely fine, but I thought this would be the best way to do it. So without further ado, this may be a long video. I am going to try and explain each spread that I'm doing as I'm doing it, and then break it down to you all at the end, talking about my 5 main principles, my ethos for why bullet journaling or the way that I journal is different and it may not work for you. If that's something you want to watch, keep watching. I know it sounds like counterproductive that I'm saying it might not work for you, but it's some pointers that might work for you. And if I can get somebody else on the bandwagon that is the addiction that this will bring, then it brings me so much joy. So I'm not going to start this video by doing a complete one-to-one or like 101 on how to journal. It's sort of something you'll pick up as you go along, and it will become important and prevalent as to why I'm not doing that to begin with. But you want to start, you've seen all these amazing things and you want to give it a go. I'm just going to show you, these are like main things that I like to use. This isn't even necessary, I just like stationery and I love washi tape, so these are the sort of things that I would use when setting up my journal. You've picked out your journal. Now, it doesn't need to be a dot grid journal. Mine is. I like using a dot grid journal. I find it a lot easier to use, but that doesn't mean that you won't. Once you've found your journal that you want to use, there's a basic setup that you can do, or you can do it ad hoc. The reason I do it like this is because there are a lot of things that I will want to use at the beginning of my journal every single day or every single week or something along that. So this is why I'm doing a separate setup video. Whenever I set up a new journal, I make sure I know how many pages there are. I snap the spine a little bit. What I mean by that is these journals are lay flat. So in order for them to lay flat, you need to snap the spine a little bit. So I do that just to open it up. Then I need to check how many pages I've got at the front of the journal. So this one is asking for my name. I'm not going to put my phone and email in there, but it's going to tell me this date that I started and the date that I ended. I'm not going to fill those in until I actually start using this journal. However, I just need to check the configuration. So there's a key in this journal. I won't use that this time. There's an index pages. I might use them. I'm quite rubbish at using index pages. And then this is the thing that I wanted to see the most. There is a welcome page to this journal. So what I would normally do here is a quote or something like that. So I'll probably do a quote on this page. But what I'm looking for is I'm just seeing how everything lays out and how many pages I'm going to need before I start doing the journaling element. But in order to know what has worked or what hasn't worked in my previous journal, I'm going to need a list. So that is why I have a little to-do. I have a little to-do pad here, and I'm going to write down how many pages that I need. Other things that I can use and do use a lot is I have these sticky note tab things. These are ones that Phil was actually given for an event he went to, and I was like, oh, it's stationary, I can use it. The good things about these is they're big enough to write things on. You can put them in your journal as you're planning it out. An eraser or a rubber. I use this one. I actually got this one from Shein, but I've got loads. I use this. I've got this. A sharp pencil and a black pen. I haven't gone for anything fancy in this because it is just my basic setup. And then the final thing and it's not limited to, because I do use stencils as well. But the final thing is a ruler. This is a metal ruler. I find that they're easy to stay straight the longest. But essentially, this is your starting kit. What I'm going to do from here on out is I am going to do a time lapse of me actually doing the whole thing, so that I might come in and talk a little bit to it all, but right at the end I will show you my complete setup and explain why I've done the things that I've done. Hopefully it'll give you a little bit of insights to how you can bullet journal, or how you can journal, and how it might actually work for you. I'm going to start just with a very base glossary of terms. The first thing that you'll hear me use a lot is the word spread. A spread is a page in your journal. It can be a single page, it can be a double spread, like 2 pages. This is a very colloquial term for explaining pages in your journal. I want to just very quickly touch on some of the things that I'm using. I know I've already mentioned that, but essentially you only need a pencil and a pen, or a pen and a ruler or even not even a ruler, just a pen to start journaling. However, I like making things look pretty. That might not work for you. You might just want to do a list. And if you do want a video on how I interpret the bullet journal method to be a productivity tool, please do let me know. But for now, this is the way that I'm setting up this new journal. I want to touch on decoration. I use stencils because I feel like they will help me focus, and I really enjoy the process of using stencils. The stencils and a lot of the materials that I use, I get from small businesses here in the UK. So what I'm going to do is I will link everything in the description. Hopefully I'll put a bit more information, because that's not what this video is about. I really hope you enjoy this. I have spent a good 2 weeks putting this together for you, the footage and everything, and I'm very nervous, but I know you'll enjoy it. And if you are finding this video 3, 4, 5 years after I have done the video, please do reach out to me, because I'm sure I'll be around in some capacity. But yeah, for now, enjoy some really sweet music while I journal. Why am I so nervous for this? You guys, I don't know, but enjoy. Feels a little bit counterproductive to leave this point in the middle of the video, but it's very important that I talk about this and I bring it off of the focus of what I've written down and I talk to you about it. So I'm going to talk to you about what has been coined on Twitch, because that's where I do most of my bullet journaling, and it's what I've coined as well because I sell a sticker, the bean method. It's called the bean method because it's things that I remember when I am bullet journaling. There's 5 things that I like to remember, and I like to tell everybody that wants to start on this journey that it is accessible to everyone, and there is no actual way to journal. There's no way to journal. There is no amount of YouTube tutorials that is going to tell you what method will fit right for you. And that's what these 5 guiding principles are. I know at this point, this video is probably very long and it's got a lot of information in it. So I'll go through as quickly as I can. And if you want a more dedicated video on it, I can probably split this down anyway. But the 5 things, before I go on and show you the spreads that I have done for my new journal setup. Number 1, your journal is yours. What I mean by this is there is no one else that your journal needs to function for other than you. If you don't want a to-do list, that's okay. If you don't want goals, that's also okay. There is no set way to journal. It's your journal. It has to function for you. With this in mind, number 2 is journaling is not a one-size-fits-all. You may see all these beautiful spreads all over social media. It doesn't mean that that is going to work for you. The original bullet journal method was a bullet point method in between note taking and list making, and it's been adapted to this wonderful way of this wonderful creative outlet. And you'll hear me saying journaling rather than bullet journaling, because what I do isn't bullet journaling. Just the fact that it's in a dot grid notebook doesn't make it bullet journaling. Even just a spoiler, as I mentioned earlier, you don't have to have a dot grid notebook for it to be bullet journaling. Number 3, and this is a really big one, and it's something that I realised really early on when I started bullet journaling, is be realistic. If you don't use it, don't make it. There's no point doing a spread that doesn't mean anything to you. Honestly, just do what you feel. I'm not here to tell you this is what you need to have in your journal. Number 4, it's okay to make mistakes. White gel pens, correction tape, sticking stuff in your journal is always to cover up. Mistakes make you learn things and what works and what doesn't work for you. If you use alcohol markers in your pen, in your journal, and there's a bit of ghosting, it's okay. And your work doesn't need to be Instagram worthy to have meaning. And then the big and the most the most important one, and this is they're all important in their own way, but this is the one that I remember all the time, and I find myself telling myself whenever I do a spread, it's not about the way it looks, it's about the way it makes you feel. And when it comes to journaling and the bean method or whatever you want to do, that is so important. So without further ado, here is an overhead again. I'm so thankful that you've got to this point in the video, because at this point it's a very long video, but I just wanted to do a little bit of an extension overview for anybody that's coming into Twitch, or if you've been directed here through any of my social media platforms, and it's actually going to be the pinned video on my channel. So if you're here through any of that, it's just really important that you know, these things, and I think it may help. I really do think it may help. But without further ado, here are the spreads that I've done and a little bit of explanation of why I've done them in my new journal to end out the video. So here we are again with the journal. It looks a little bit different than it did at the beginning of the video. Like I've already mentioned, this took 2 weeks. This has been 2 weeks in the making. We're finally going to flip through my setup for a brand new journal. I'm using this one. This is from Yop and Tom. I got this in my Under the Own Trees advent calendar Christmas last year, but this is the way that I've set it up. So I've written my name in it. I've put in here set up on YouTube in March, because it was March when I started it. It's now April, and I haven't filled in any of the key or the index or anything like that yet, but I have started my pages. To start my journal, I've gone in with what is called the word of the year. Not everybody does this. You can do this as a naming your journal page. I have decided that this year I want to go with word of the year. My word is eudaimonia. It's a Greek for happy, basically. It means human flourishing. It's a contented state of being happy and healthy and prosperous. This is to set my intention for the journal. This is where I want to be by the end of the year. I want to experience complete eudaimonia, and I have very recently got very close to feeling this state of contentment, and I can tell you it is really, really nice. Then the next page that we have is a page that has been in all of my journals thus far. It might not have been like this sort of setup until very recently. Like my last 3 journals have had this setup. But it's got the beam method and also my opening quote. My opening quote is always "Life is an awfully big adventure." As you can see, I have a tattoo. Second star to the right, straight on till morning. I'm a huge Peter Pan fan. And I just love this quote. I just love what it means and everything that goes around it. I then have this spread. So this spread isn't something that needs to be in the journal all the time. However, I find this really simple. I have a grid spread. So this is me. I've basically just drawn on the page and I've written all of the numbers down and anything that I might use. So it's told me that this is to get the centre mark, it's 14 times 19. It's 12 across to get halfway. It's just that sort of thing. I've also got a list here of all my themes. This one's probably the first time there's a bit of colour in here. There's always a lot of colour in my journals. It just makes me happy. I like using markers. You've seen me decorating all the way through the time lapse. Then we go on to this very empty future log. I haven't used this until recently. It's been a tool that I have used in my current journal, and I'm going to be carrying it forward. It's basically just an overview of the year. Even though we are currently in April, I've kept April and the previous months on here so that I can see things like birthdays, anniversaries, events that are coming up that I haven't been able to write in my monthlies or my weeklies. A monthly spread, if you had, like, hopefully I've put monthly and weeklies in there. They're just things that, like, you will use once a month or once a week. It will make sense as you go along. But these is just something right at the beginning of the journal. The next spread that I've got is a new edition. I'm going to overlook it because obviously I've not filled it in yet, and it's again another one that I will need to transfer from my other journal. I've lovingly named it Shark Week. This is to track my menstrual cycle, just because it's good to see it all on one page. And also it's a spread that I did in my last journal, or my current journal. Sounds so weird talking about that like that, but it's a spread that I've done in my current journal that works really, really well, and I just want to be able to replicate it and use it again. Obviously, if it's working for me, I'm being realistic, it's in this journal. The next spread, which is like the final spread in here that I'm gonna show you, is seemingly empty, and the current one that I have is also is not as tidy as this. This is my master to-do list, master whatever you want to call it, and I separated it out. I have 3 columns here that are my personal things that I need to do, shop things that I need to do for the store, things that I want to buy. It's just a bit of a place for me to put things down. I then have my content plans. So I've got YouTube, Instagram and Twitch. These are my main things that I do at the moment. And then this big empty space here is for quotes and notes. If I see a quote, something that I want to make into my journal, this is what I will put here. That is the final page. I haven't had the chance to do it because I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I feel like this is going to be something that I will do on Twitch. This page, before I actually go into my actual journal, will be a quote page, just to, again, tie it all together, just to set in stone an actual feeling for the journal itself. And the last thing I want to notice that I do in every single journal I have, I haven't actually labelled this time, but about 5 or 6 pages away from the end of the book, I do an appendices. Like we have these here at the beginning of the book, the appendices just are pages that aren't always going to be on show. It could be messy, where I can write lists or things like that, and that's what I do there. And that is it pretty much. So I am going to end here. I know it's a very weird place to end. I really hope that you got something out of this video, and if there's anything that I missed off, please let me know in the comments down below. But until then, keep living that big happy adventure, stay positive, and until next time, I'll see you then. Bye guys, bye 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 bye.